Hi, welcome to another edition of Storytime with Angel. We have kind of some bad lighting today, unfortunately. It is a dark and potentially stormy day, but that's appropriate for our story for today. I'm going to read this week a couple of excerpts from the first edition of the MCB Quarterly. This is a new e-magazine that focuses on LGBT fiction. Lots of different submissions we've been getting, really wonderful stuff. There will, of course, always be an opinion piece, an opinion column in the magazine as well, interview, an artist-author spotlight, those kinds of things as well. But the stories is what we want to focus, stories are what we want to focus on this week. And the one that I have for you today is by Mina McLeod. It's called Facsimile. This is a lesbian horror story. It's a historical with some steampunky feel to it. And it's a really wonderful story. This one gave me shivers when I read it. I'm only going to read a small portion. Obviously, it's a short story, and you're going to have to get the magazine to read the rest. So, this is Mina McLeod, Facsimile. And if I mispronounce any of the French, please forgive me. My French is awful. So, do the best we can. The night President Carnot is assassinated, Monique Chambly is nestled in a chair in her sitting room with a blanket wrapped around her legs. The fire is crackling and her tea is hot. It smells of cinnamon and spice. The scent brings familiarity and comfort, but Monique cannot remember why. She remembers very little these days. She's staring at the amber softgel capsules, debating whether the pain is bad enough to warrant them. The phonograph is warbling Mozart. She has always adored Mozart. At least, she's fairly certain she has. Outside their Montmartre estate, the rain comes down upon the city heavy and unforgiving. Thunder rolls across the sky and lightning rips through the clouds, illuminating the streets. It is a cold, terrible night to be outside. Her joints ache. Monique winces and reaches for the capsules. Her muscles feel like they are being pulled from her bones. She manages to swallow the medication, wincing as it slides down her dry throat. Monique grabs the tea and takes a generous gulp, though her tongue protests the sting of heat. She lolls her head until her chin sits upon her chest. Dark ringlets of hair shift to hide her face. Her head feels heavy, so heavy, as though her neck isn't strong enough to hold it up. The next clap of thunder startles her. It cracks the sky in twain with its severity. The arc lamps in their home flicker. Monique is huddled there, curled in on herself, when Elvire finds her. "Monique, my darling," she says, kneeling before the chair, "whatever are you doing awake?" She reaches out, brushing aside the curtain of Monique's hair. Dr. Elvire Mazet is a tall, wiry creature. Yet here she is, folded up neatly at Monique's feet. Her dark eyes are wide with concern behind her wire-rimmed spectacles. She's still wearing her lab coat. Its immaculate whiteness has long since been stained with evidence of various experiments. A pair of safety goggles is holding her short red hair out of her face. Monique wonders idly what Elvire has been up to in her lab. Normally, Elvire leaves all of her clothing and equipment downstairs. Thunder rumbles through the sky yet again, and Monique shudders. Am I afraid of storms? I don't remember. You aren't, Elvire says, and her voice soothes Monique's anxiety. But why are you still up at this hour? You're so pale. Are you not feeling well? I'm in some pain. Even Monique is mildly surprised at how calmly she admits it. Agony has become a constant in her life, or at least what she knows to be her life. Every day she thanks God that she has someone like Elvire to look after her. Have you taken your medication? When Monique nods, Elvire cups her cheeks and looks deep into her eyes. Are they not enough? Shall I develop something stronger for you? No, Monique says, a whisper against the storm. These are fine. The stronger ones, they turn the world gray. There is a lump in her throat. She does not remember ever feeling so saddened. Monique covers Elvire's hands with her own and gives her a pleading look. I do not like it when the world is gray. Elvire comes closer, enfolding Monique in an embrace. No, love, no, of course you don't. Her touch is gentle, as though Monique is made of glass. Monique supposes she is these days. Sometimes she feels like it's just her and Elvire against the world. Monique takes a deep breath, wincing when her rib cage protests. Tell me what you're working on. Distract me until the medication works. She buries her face in Elvire's lab coat and concentrates on the sound of her deep, sonorous voice. I'm making great strides, Monique. Elvire's tone is peppered with excitement, and her grip on Monique tightens. Before the turn of the century, I'm certain transferable electrical energy will be powering every home in the country, every home in the world. Electricity beyond your lab? Monique has never been down there, at least not since the accident. Elvire has denied her access, citing the dangerous equipment and Monique's memory loss. Despite this, she has regaled Monique with tales of scientific wonder. The equipment in Elvire's lab is self-sustaining, and she spends hours of each day toiling over some project or another. Monique knows that most of her work is done for the French government, and she often sees sharply dressed men stopping by for reports. The government work is what affords them the estate in Montmartre, and it's well-deserved. Beyond France, Elvire chuckles, dropping a kiss on Monique's forehead. Once I help expand the network from Paris, the world will change. I cannot wait for you to see it. But it's more than giving the government what they want, Monique. She steps back to smile. Once I take care of that, they are sure to give me some more free time. I plan to use that time to focus on helping you get better. Elvire is more than just a lover and caregiver. It was her skilled hands that dragged Monique from the brink of death. Surgery is one of her many disciplines, and she has used every ounce of her skill to nurse Monique back to health. Monique does not remember the accident, or most things that came before it, but she heard from mutual friends and colleagues that the prognosis had been bleak. Both her carriage and horse had gone off that cliff, and none had been expected to survive. Somehow, Elvire saved her. Death tried to steal her when she was 22, and Elvire forbade it. Every time her bones ache or her muscles feel detachable, she cannot remember why she's here. Monique reminds herself that there was a day, not quite a year gone, when she was not here at all. Her heart swells with warmth and affection. You've already done so much for me. The medication is beginning to course through her veins, numbing the sharp pains to dull aches. I love you, Elvire says. It's natural, is it not? Someone raps on the front door. No, someone wails upon it. The knocks are continuous and desperate. Elvire and Monique exchange startled glances. This is not the hour for social calls. Stay here, Elvire says, already rushing toward the racket. Monique most certainly doesn't, tossing the blanket aside and heaving herself out of the chair to follow. She moves as fast as her legs allow, hiking up her burgundy skirts past the knee. Later, she will be impressed with how quickly she catches up to Elvire, stumbling to her side just as Elvire is opening the door. Standing outside, dripping wet, is Jean-Marc, one of the government officials with whom Monique is rather familiar. Jean-Marc often comes by to visit, be it to collect research notes, prototypes, or simply to bring Monique tea and biscuits. However, he is not in the habit of showing up unannounced in the middle of the night. He looks haggard and panicked, rainwater running off his face in pale rivulets. Dr. Mazet, he says, choking in his haste to get the words out, please, we need your help. Behind him are two more men, also government by the looks of their attire. Their sleek black finery is marred with wrinkles of distress, clinging to their bodies and no doubt chilling them to the bone. Farther behind them, a carriage is parked on the street. 3 more men are fussing with whoever is inside it. Even over the noise of the storm, Monique can hear them shouting at each other in desperation and alarm. What is the trouble? Elvire asks, clearly rattled by the display on their front lawn. She tries to peer around Jean-Marc at the carriage. President Carnot, Jean-Marc manages. He's wounded. You have to save him. Presented with a problem, Elvire naturally works toward a solution. Monique watches, fascinated as surprise smooths over into determination. Bring him to my lab. Jean-Marc's companions scramble to do as she commands. Elvire glances at Monique. Jean, please help Monique to the bedroom. Jean-Marc spares Monique the barest of nods. The president is in good hands. Please be a gentleman and assist my wife. She moves aside, drawing Monique with her to make room for the stretcher that comes through the door. Despite the darkness, Monique can tell that the blankets wrapping the figure are dark with blood. Oh, God, she gasps, covering her mouth. The French president is bleeding to death in her vestibule. All right. That's Facsimile by Nina McLeod. That is in the first edition of the MCB Quarterly. You can get that on the Mischief Corner book website, on Amazon, on All Romance, Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords. We will be back on Thursday with another excerpt, probably a little shorter one, and we hope that you'll take a look at the magazine as a whole. We will be getting out the second edition this summer. We're hoping that it's going to keep going for a while. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening.